Hello, my friend. I'm Dr. Linda Parker, urology and healthy aging educator, and today I want to talk to you about something that far too many people accept as just part of getting old. Waking up again and again at night to rush to the bathroom, living with urgency, leakage, or the constant fear you might not make it in time. For years, you may have heard that this is inevitable after a certain age, that it's simply what happens once you pass 60 or 70. But that story is incomplete. Your bladder may be louder now, yes, but in many cases, it's not your age that is wrecking your nights. It's a handful of habits you repeat every evening without even noticing. In this conversation, I want to show you something important. Your bladder is not your enemy, and it is not broken beyond repair. It is a responsive, intelligent organ that listens all day long to what you drink, how you move, how you breathe, how you sleep, and what you believe about your own body. The problem is that most people never learned how to treat it with kindness. They go to bed after a salty dinner and a large drink. They visit the bathroom over and over, just in case. They carry stress and tension into the pillow, and then they blame age when their bladder does exactly what it was trained to do: wake them up. My goal is simple. I want to reveal 3 specific nighttime habits that quietly damage your bladder over time. I'm not here to give you miracle tricks or replace your doctor's advice. I'm here to help you understand what is happening inside you in clear and practical language so that you can start making smarter choices tonight. When you change the way you treat your bladder changes the way it treats you. First, let's take a moment to remember how your bladder is supposed to work. Imagine a small but flexible balloon made of muscle. During the day, your kidneys filter your blood and produce urine, which flows into that balloon and gradually fills it. As the bladder stretches, nerves send gentle messages to your brain. We're filling up. When the bladder is reasonably full and you are in a safe place, your brain gives the green light. The bladder muscle tightens, the outlet opens, you relax your pelvic floor muscles, and the urine flows out. It is a coordinated dance between brain, nerves, muscles, and hormones. At night, the body has a clever adjustment. Hormonal changes usually reduce the amount of urine you make while you sleep, so that the bladder can hold longer and you can stay in bed. When this system is supported, many people can sleep 6, 7, or 8 hours without getting up, or at most, wake once. But when your habits overload the system, the messages between your bladder and brain become confused, and the night turns into a series of trips to the bathroom. The first nighttime habit that wrecks your bladder is flooding it with the wrong liquids in the wrong time window. Many older adults go through the day almost on dry mode. They are busy, they forget to drink, or they avoid water because they already fear needing the bathroom too often. Then, evening arrives, and suddenly they try to make up for all those dry hours. They sit down to a large, salty dinner at 8 or 9 o'clock and wash it down with a big glass of juice, soda, tea, coffee, or alcohol. It feels comforting in the moment, but your bladder pays the price for hours. Certain drinks are especially harsh on the bladder. Caffeine in coffee, tea, chocolate drinks, and many sodas tells the kidneys to make more urine and makes the bladder muscle more excitable. Alcohol also acts like a diuretic, increasing urine production and disturbing the coordination between your brain and bladder. Sugary or artificially sweetened beverages can irritate the bladder lining in many people, making it more sensitive. Acidic drinks like citrus juices and some flavored waters can have a similar irritating effect. On top of that, a heavily salted dinner pulls more water into the bloodstream, which later ends up in your urine. Here is how this looks on a typical evening. You finish dinner late, your plate is generous, the food is salty, and you drink 1 or 2 large glasses of your favorite beverage. You feel pleasantly full and sleepy. You go to bed, close your eyes, and maybe fall asleep quickly. But a couple of hours later, the bladder that you flooded with liquid and irritants sends an urgent signal. We're full. Wake up now. You get out of bed, use the bathroom, and return to sleep. A few hours later, the cycle repeats. Night after night, this pattern breaks your sleep and drains your daytime energy. The solution is not to dehydrate yourself. Your body needs fluids, your kidneys need water, and your bladder actually works better when it is regularly rinsed with moderate amounts of clean fluid during the day. The key is timing and choice. Think of your daily hydration as a downward slope. You want more fluids earlier and fewer fluids as bedtime approaches. Try to drink most of your water between morning and late afternoon. From late afternoon onward, start to reduce both the volume you drink and the irritants you expose your bladder to. For many people, a simple rule helps. 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, avoid large drinks and avoid the classic bladder irritants, caffeinated beverages, alcohol, sugary sodas, and acidic juices. If you feel thirsty late in the evening, choose small sips of plain water rather than a full glass of something strong. If you are used to drinking a big mug of tea at night to relax, consider moving that ritual earlier or switching to a small cup of a truly caffeine-free herbal infusion and then reducing the size over time. Your bladder does not need a flood at 10 p.m. It needs a calm, predictable evening. The second nighttime habit that hurts your bladder is constantly going just in case and turning your bladder into a nervous small container instead of a calm, stretchy one. This often starts with a totally understandable intention. You want to avoid accidents. You may have had episodes of leakage or intense urgency in the past, so now every time you pass near a bathroom, you decide to empty what little there is just to feel safe. Before dinner, you go. After dinner, you go. Before brushing your teeth, you go again. Right before bed, one more time. After the first awakening at night, you rush to the toilet the moment you feel even the slightest urge. Your bladder learns from repetition. When you empty it at very low volumes over and over again, you train the nerves inside its wall to send urgency signals earlier and earlier. What used to feel like a gentle, distant, you might need to go in a while, becomes a dramatic, immediate, go now, even when only a small amount of urine is present. It is as if your internal volume control gets turned up to maximum sensitivity. At night, this means you wake up to small signals that your brain could easily ignore if you had not conditioned your bladder to panic. There is another piece to this puzzle: the way you actually urinate once you sit or stand at the toilet. Many people are in a hurry. They lean forward, tense their shoulders, hold their breath, and push hard with the abdominal muscles to force everything out quickly. That pushing creates pressure downward on the bladder and on the muscles of the pelvic floor. Over time, this can interfere with the delicate coordination needed for smooth emptying. Instead of relaxing and letting the bladder muscle do the work, you squeeze and bear down, which may leave some urine behind and adds more tension to an area that already feels overworked. To break this cycle, you need to retrain your bladder with patience and kindness. The goal is to help it tolerate slightly larger volumes again and to empty more calmly. Start with small steps. If you notice that you always rush to the bathroom at the first tiny signal in the evening, experiment with waiting just 3 to 5 minutes while you sit or lie quietly. During that short time, focus on slow breathing. As you exhale, relax your jaw, shoulders, belly, and hips. Tell your body, "It's okay, I'm safe. I can wait a little." Over days or weeks, those extra minutes teach the bladder that it does not need to scream for attention at the earliest drop. When you do go to urinate, turn that moment into a relaxation practice rather than a speed contest. Sit with your feet flat and supported. Let your knees relax instead of clamping them together. Place your hands loosely on your thighs. Inhale gently, and as you exhale, soften the muscles at the base of your pelvis, as if you were letting them melt. Allow the stream to start on its own rather than forcing it. If you feel finished but suspect there might be a little more, try waiting a few seconds, taking another breath, and gently relaxing again. Sometimes a second small flow comes out. This simple, double voiding can help the bladder empty more completely without pushing. At night, the same principles apply. If you wake with a mild urge and you know your bladder was recently emptied, try not to jump out of bed instantly. Take a few slow breaths. If the sensation is truly light and not painful, give your body a chance to settle before deciding whether to go. You are not trying to hold urine to the point of discomfort. You are teaching your nervous system that not every whisper from the bladder is an emergency. Over time, this can reduce the number of unnecessary bathroom visits and help you stay asleep longer between trips. The third nighttime habit that wrecks your bladder does not start in the bathroom at all. It starts in your mind and your muscles. It is the habit of ending the day in high alert instead of in safe-to-rest mode. Your bladder is closely wired to your nervous system. When your brain is anxious, your muscles are tense, your thoughts are racing, and light is flashing from screens late into the night, your body enters a state of readiness, as if it needs to react quickly to danger. In that state, every sensation feels bigger, including the mild stretching of your bladder as it fills. Think about a night when you slept deeply and peacefully. Maybe you were on vacation, far from stress, or you had a day of physical activity and sunshine. On those nights, your sleep likely felt heavier, your breathing slower, and you may have slept long hours with few awakenings. Now compare that to a night when you went to bed right after watching upsetting news, scrolling through messages, or worrying about a problem. You probably slept on the surface, waking easily to sounds, thoughts, and physical sensations. A half-full bladder that you would ignore on a calm night suddenly feels like an urgent problem when your nervous system is already on edge. Stress also lives in the muscles. Many people carry it in the jaw, neck, shoulders, back, and hips. The muscles of the pelvic floor, which support the bladder from below, are part of that network. When they are tight and clenched, they press up against the bladder and urethra. Imagine holding a balloon in both hands and squeezing it gently. The pressure inside increases, and it feels fuller, even though the amount of water has not changed. A tense pelvic floor can make a normal volume of urine feel like an uncomfortable pressure. This is especially true at night when you lie still and the body has fewer distractions. To protect your bladder from this third habit, you need a short, intentional nightly ritual that sends a different message to your body. Think of it as changing the lighting and music in a room. At some point in the evening, you decide, now we are shifting into rest mode. That might mean choosing a time, perhaps 1 hour before bed, when you turn off bright screens. You dim the lights, you avoid stimulating news or arguments, and you give your eyes and brain a break. Instead of scrolling in bed, you might read a physical book, listen to calm music, or simply sit in quiet. You can add gentle movement to release tension from the muscles that surround and support your bladder. While sitting or lying down, roll your shoulders, stretch your neck, and slowly rock your knees side to side. If you are comfortable lying on your back, bend your knees and rest your feet on the bed. Let your lower back settle into the mattress. Place your hands on your belly, inhale softly, and as you exhale, imagine that your belly and pelvis are sinking down, becoming heavy and warm. This kind of breathing and visualization tells your nervous system that it no longer needs to be in fight or flight mode. Just a few minutes of this wind-down routine can change the entire tone of your night. When you fall asleep from a calmer state, your brain is better able to move into deeper stages of sleep, where it naturally filters out minor signals from the bladder. That does not mean you will never need to get up at night, especially if you have other medical conditions. But it often means the bladder stops shouting and starts whispering again. Your body can distinguish between a true need to wake up and a temporary, mild sensation that can be handled later. Now, let me bring these 3 habits together with a couple of real-world scenarios similar to those I see all the time. Picture a man in his early 70s. He is retired, spends much of the day sitting, drinks only small sips of water, and feels tired most afternoons. In the evening, he enjoys a heavy, salty meal around 8 o'clock, along with a couple of glasses of beer. Around 10, he drinks a tall mug of strong tea while watching the news on a bright television screen. Before bed, he visits the bathroom twice, even if very little urine comes out, because he is terrified of having an accident. He goes to bed with his mind full of worries and his body full of tension. At night, he wakes 4 or 5 times to urinate. He believes his bladder is ruined by age. Now imagine that instead of focusing only on medication, he begins adjusting these habits. He starts drinking water steadily from morning until mid-afternoon. He moves his heavier meal to a slightly earlier time and reduces excess salt. He limits alcohol and caffeine to earlier in the day. In the evening, he changes his large mug of tea for a small cup of a gentle herbal drink, then gradually shrinks even that. He chooses a time to turn off screens, spends 10 minutes stretching and breathing before bed, and practices waiting a few minutes when the nighttime urge is very mild. After some weeks, his nights shift. Maybe he still wakes once or twice, but not 5 times. His bladder did not suddenly become 20 years younger. His habits stopped attacking it every night. Or picture a woman in her late 60s who has been dealing with recurring urinary discomfort. She drinks little water during the day, then has a big glass of citrus juice before bed. She goes to the bathroom repeatedly in the evening, just to be sure, and sits on the toilet tight and rushed, pushing and straining. She falls asleep with the television on, half listening to bad news and half dozing. Her pelvic floor is tense, her mind is unsettled, and her bladder feels irritable all the time. It's no surprise that she wakes often, even when very little urine is present. When she learns to spread her water intake through the daylight hours, move her acidic juice earlier, and replace her just-in-case visits with more mindful, relaxed bathroom trips, her nights begin to change. She practices softer breathing, gentle stretches, and slower thoughts before bed. Her bladder remains the same organ, but it is no longer being constantly poked and prodded by late-night irritants, anxious empties, and muscular tension. Gradually, the urgency quiets, the discomfort eases, and she discovers that her body is more cooperative than she believed. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with a single, powerful idea. Very often, it's not your age that is wrecking your bladder at night, it's your habits. Age plays a role, of course, and certain medical conditions require professional treatment. But the way you hydrate, the way you use the bathroom, and the way you end your day can either support or sabotage your bladder's natural design. Remember the 3 habits we talked about. Flooding your bladder with the wrong drinks at the wrong time. Training it to panic with constant just-in-case trips and straining on the toilet. And sending it into the night inside a tense, stressed, overstimulated body and mind. When you begin to reverse these habits, even in small steps, you give your bladder and your nervous system the chance to cooperate again. Never forget this: it is not too late. You are not stuck with the nights you have now. You can teach your body new patterns at any age. The changes may be gradual, but they are real. Tonight, as you move through your evening, pay attention. Ask yourself what you are drinking, how often you are going just in case, and whether your bedtime routine is calming or stirring you up. Each small decision is a message to your bladder about how much you respect it. I'm Dr. Linda Parker, and I'm here to remind you that your bladder is not broken. It's simply reacting to the signals you send it. If this message helped you see your own habits more clearly, share it with someone you care about who also struggles with nighttime bathroom trips. And if you'd like to keep learning about bladder health, healthy aging, and practical habits for better nights and more energetic days, I invite you to subscribe and stay connected. Your nights do not have to be ruled by your bladder. With the right choices, you can reclaim rest, confidence, and calm, starting one evening, one glass, and one breath at a time.